real-life superpowers after an accident.
No.
Jason Padgett was a party animal who hated school and got terrible grades. But one day, two men savagely robbed and attacked Jason outside of a karaoke bar, leaving him with a severe concussion. The concussion caused him to become a mathematical genius and made him learn fractal geometry, which he had never been taught before. When Derek Amato was 39 years old, he hit his head after diving into a swimming pool and was diagnosed with a concussion and 35% hearing loss. After that, Derek began to see black and white keys in his head, and out of nowhere, he began to play the piano like an expert. Ben McMahon was an
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to my channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping in with us, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, hitting that like button each and every video. You guys are pushing us in the algorithm, man. We're growing. Again, you guys can see, so thank you guys for the support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, man. Let's seek the truth.
Can you imagine going in for a facial and later finding out you're diagnosed with HIV? At least 3 women have been infected with HIV after getting this cosmetic procedure called vampire facial in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And if you don't know what a vampire facial is, it's the procedure where they take a sample of your blood from your body, then separate the plasma and the red blood cells, and then they inject the plasma back into your face with microneedling. And there's a number of reasons why people get this done. A major one being to brighten the skin, improve fine lines, wrinkles, acne, and overall rejuvenate the skin. But after these women were diagnosed, an investigation was conducted, and it turns out that this spa was unlicensed. They also found unlabeled tubes of blood lying on the kitchen counter and syringes stored in the fridge along with food. It's also been said that this spa was reusing disposable equipment, which is most likely how these people were infected. This clinic had hundreds of clients, and it's possible that more people were infected, but they just don't know it yet. The clinic was closed down and the owner was sentenced to 2 years in prison. Can we just talk about Gypsy Rose on Keeping Up with the Kardashians? So in a past interview, Gypsy Rose stated that she really wanted to meet Kim to talk about prison reform. And again, in case you guys all forgot, Gypsy went to prison for about 8 years for the murder of her mother. And since Kim has experience in prison reform, Gypsy wanted to get together with her so that they can talk about how to make the prison system a lot better. But is it just me, or is this getting a little weird? I know that there's people that truly support Gypsy, and then there's people who still think that she should be in prison. But at the end of the day, she did murder someone, and I just find it odd that she is essentially famous because of it. And of course, Gypsy did her time, but I've yet to see anyone else be released from prison after doing what she did and become famous. I know we talk a lot about Gypsy Rose on my page, and I do sympathize with her and everything that she went through as a child. But since her release, she hasn't really been low-key about anything, and I get it, a lot of people are very interested about her story and what happened to her. I was too. But now it's at the point where she has 2 TV shows about her life. She goes to these red carpets, and now she's on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I find it very, very interesting, and I just really want to know the point of this collab. Some people think that Keeping Up with the Kardashians has not been doing the greatest, so they brought Gypsy in just to get more viewers. What do you guys think?
I ain't gonna lie, I believe what she said about bringing her in to get more views, because yeah, I guess, you know, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, everybody used to watch that show, but now, you know, it's like it's on streaming now, stuff like that. The game has changed. But what she said about Gypsy, bro, that is kind of like she's hitting the nail on the head, because like once she got out, she damn near, like she said, she's famous, even though like we know what she did. But for her to get that type of fame of attention, it really makes you question things in the world.
People who gained real-life superpowers after an accident. Jason Padgett was a party animal who hated school and got terrible grades. But one day, 2 men savagely robbed and attacked Jason outside of a karaoke bar, leaving him with a severe concussion. The concussion caused him to become a mathematical genius and made him learn fractal geometry, which he had never been taught before. When Derek Amato was 39 years old, he hit his head after diving into a swimming pool and was diagnosed with a concussion and 35% hearing loss. After that, Derek began to see black and white keys in his head, and out of nowhere, he began to play the piano like an expert. Ben McMahon was in a car accident birthday in 2015 and fell into a coma for a week. When he woke up, he could speak perfect Chinese even though he had only learned the basics as a child. Tony Ciceria was struck by lightning after making a call in a phone booth. Within a couple of days, he was addicted to music, which he wasn't before. After trying the piano, he became a musical artist, composing his own music.
Superpowers exist in this world? What the hell, Seekers, man? This is my first time hearing these cases. You think cases like this would make like national news or something like that. But the one that kept hitting the head over the nails when somebody got a concussion, they just like unlocked a certain part of their brain and they was able to do certain things they weren't able to do before. We're gonna have to look into that, bro. Insane.
Have you ever wondered what happened on this exact date 300 years ago? Well, this is what happened in history today, part 1. Up first, on July 20th, 1969, Apollo 11 landed on the moon. It was carrying Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, who would become the first humans to walk on the moon. Next up, on July 20th, 1793, Scottish explorer Alexander Mackenzie completed the first European east-to-west crossing of America north of Mexico. It's crazy to me that on this exact day a couple hundred years ago, people were exploring the land that we call home. Next up, on July 20th, 1881, Sioux Indian chief Sitting Bull surrendered to the U.S. federal troops. Sitting Bull was an Indian tribe leader who led his people during years of resistance against United States government policies. He surrendered in exchange for amnesty for his people. Finally, on July 20th, 1917, the World War I draft was held. Secretary Baker, who was blindfolded, drew the first number from a bull, followed by many other numbers over the course of 16 and a half hours, and every number was a different man. And believe it or not, but on that day, 1.3 million men were called up for the draft. This literally happened on this exact day a little over 100 years ago.
July 20th is an important day in history that we have to mark down then. Some important things went down on that day. Crazy to think about how one day can change the course of history. Man. Edit. Call them out, man. Call them out down below in the comments when you see the edit, guys.
This is actually how World War III starts. I'ma be pissed. South Korea's just held an emergency meeting with their top officials to discuss on how to respond after North Korea flew almost 1,000 balloons carrying bags full of trash and human waste across the border. South Korea's national security director said that they've decided to take unbearable measures against North Korea. And while they didn't specify exactly what those unbearable measures were, some sources say that they will resume their frontline loudspeaker broadcast into North Korea. That includes criticism of their human rights situation, world news, and K-pop songs. Welcome to 2024.
One of the world's scariest animals just got a whole lot scarier. And Planet of the Apes is slowly becoming non-fiction. Because apparently chimpanzees are out here murking gorillas. Scientists in 2021 witnessed a troop of chimpanzees basically jumping a family of gorillas. And when I say gang, we're talking about almost 30 chimps pressing a family of 5. Keep in mind a silverback can weigh up to 400 pounds, could probably bench press your car. And according to witnesses, the silverback was eating chimps left and right like they were paper mache. But eventually the chimps overwhelmed the bigger silverback and even kidnapped a baby gorilla. I'm not going to tell you exactly what they did, but that family of 5 became a party of 4. And it wasn't even the last time. Because later that year, scientists watched the same group of chimpanzees do the same exact thing. Square up with a family of gorillas, kidnapped a baby, and erase its name from the gorilla's census. And it's not like we didn't know chimps were about that. They often hunt bush babies and vervet monkeys, and we've even seen them use weapons like spears to do it. But it's one thing to hunt something that weighs like 5 Skittles. Going gorillas is another tier of Black Air Force activity. Which is why I'd rather be locked in a room with a jaguar than a chimp. Because at least a jaguar gonna make it quick.
People who gained real-life superpowers after an accident. In 1971, Edwin Robinson was in a severe car crash that made him completely blind and partially deaf. 9 years later, he ventured outside his home to rescue his pet chicken from the rain when he was suddenly struck by lightning. But due to the high voltage blast from the lightning strike, he miraculously could see and hear perfectly fine again. During Adam Rayner's early life, he suffered from dwarfism, and at his tallest, he came in at 4.5 feet. But at the age of 21, he developed a tumor on his pituitary gland, which led him to grow to a staggering 7 feet 8 inches within a few years. This made him the only human to ever be classified as both a dwarf and a giant in the same lifetime. Tony Curtis got into a car accident that was was so severe he fell into a coma for several days. Thankfully, he came out of it, and when he woke up, he could magically speak perfect French, even though he had only taken a few French lessons 12 years before the accident.
This is breaking news from around the world that you definitely have not heard of.
Number 3, the IDF says a barrage of 200 rockets have been fired towards Israel from the Gaza Strip, most of which has been intercepted by the Iron Dome. The Israeli military conducted a retaliation strike of roughly 130 targets. Number 2, out-of-control Chinese rocket debris crash lands into the Indian Ocean just west of the Maldives, most of which was destroyed upon re-entry into the lower atmosphere. Number 1, a major pipeline was hacked and shut down by a group called DarkSide, the FBI confirms. They demand ransom, and this stands as a wake-up call for other US companies about major cyber threats into the future.
What the hell? He got us from talking about a major park hack. That's something they must have tried to hit because I didn't see that trending nowhere. It's crazy to think about, man, this type of information we're not even aware of, man. That's what I said. So you gotta tap in with us, man. You're gonna learn something. That's crazy. Edit. Call him out when I see him, man. We've been doing this for a minute, man, so we know how to spot him now. If it's an edit, like I said, tell me in the comments down below. I want to see if y'all can spot them too. At least make the edits good.
Scary facts you didn't know. There are at least 10 recorded cases of someone dying from laughter.
Come again?
At some point in time, a stranger has thought of killing you. Selfies are responsible for more deaths every year than sharks.
No.
There's a shack called the Devil's Toy Box in Louisiana, and people who go in there supposedly lose their minds. When a person dies, they have 7 minutes of brain activity left in which they see a dreamlike sequence of their memories.
Oh.
Most serial killers are born in November.
You can only ride this roller coaster once. Julionis, your bonus, designed this roller coaster called the Euthanasia coaster. It's capable of holding up to 24 passengers. Once they're all on board, it starts to slowly ascend to the top, which is 1,700 feet in the air. That's just a little bit smaller than the tallest building in America. Once they're at the top, it gives everyone the decision to stop and go back down safely. After that, everyone has to manually press a button to start the ride. Then it falls at a speed of 220 miles per hour and goes through 7 loops that keep getting smaller. It's designed like this so riders maintain 10 G's of force for a full 60 seconds. Everyone's blood would rush to their feet, leaving no blood left in their brain. This causes them to lose their vision and eventually black out and die. It was designed for people with incurable diseases who wanted a fun and unpainful death.
What? What the hell? How's it my first time hearing about that?
Psychological tricks that will change your life. Part 7. If you whisper to somebody, they will whisper back, even if there's no reason to do so. Yo, Dad.
I thought that the French protests were unhinged before, but this might be the single most hilarious way of protesting I have ever seen. As we all know, Paris is hosting the Summer Olympics, but a lot of French people aren't very happy about that. Because, and I only found out about this today, the Olympics is kind of a scam when it comes to a country actually making money. Don't get me wrong, it's great for global street cred, but for example, when China hosted it, they made a net loss of 36.4 billion, and London made a net loss of 13 billion, and that's all taxpayer money. So when the public heard that France has already spent over 5 billion, and then that Macron wanted to spend another billion just to clean up the said river, so it looks good for the Olympics, they lost it, and the I shit in the said river protest began. On the 23rd of June, the French President Macron and the Paris mayor plan to take a ceremonial swim in the river to show off just how clean it is. So the protesters are now planning a defecation flash mob because, and I quote, after putting us in shit, it's up to them to bathe in our shit. Oh, and if you don't live in Paris, no bloody problem, because someone created this website. You type in how many kilometers you are away from Paris, and using a water flow algorithm, it will tell you precisely the day and the exact time you need to fit into the river to reach Paris at the time Macron will be swimming in it. Oh, I told you, and that is why I say here are some Google secrets that you didn't know about. If you type in Google space and click the first result, all of Google will start floating in space, and you can type and mess with all the buttons by throwing them around. If you type in Pac-Man, you can play a Google version of
Pac-Man along with other games such as Tic-Tac-Toe, Fun Facts, Minesweeper, Snake, Solitaire, and much more for free. If you type in Thanos and click the Infinity Gauntlet, you will not only make some of the search results disappear, but half of Google will also be snapped out of existence. And if you click it again, everything will be reversed.
I want to talk about the O'Fallon footage. On the eastern side of Missouri, a tape was recovered from a camera recorder of a missing man in 2002. This photo found in the footage has marked the most chilling mystery to have ever come out of this county. The man is pictured here. His name was Roy Hafer, and he was sort of an amateur investigator. You know, he would go to scenes with recent crimes, places where he could film, and he could sell the footage hopefully to a news station. And on an evening where he ventured to a hot spot where a woman had gone missing just a year prior, he would never make it home from that abandoned house. A police search was conducted by the following morning, as well as a search of the abandoned home and a search of this underpass where a significant amount of blood was recovered, but his body was not. They would also go on to find his camera recorder where they would find that final footage. This was the face seen in the last frame of that video footage.
You think you're old? Again, this is the oldest person that ever lived. Her name is Jeanne-Louise Calment of France. She was born in 1875 and passed away in 1997 at the age of 122 years old. She outlived both her daughter and her grandson. Her husband died in 1942.
Whoa. She lived to be that old? Goes to show you, man. You never know. It's actually crazy.
Men who have bigger noses have been also found to have longer penises, a recent study suggests.
What?
The study looked at the corpses of 126 men within 3 days of death and measured a range of body parts. The length of the men's noses correlated to the size of the penis. And although there was a correlation between nose and penis size, they did not find a reason as to why this might be. So the question is, how big is your nose?
That was weird. What the hell? No correlation. Why did I do
These
that?
are the top 3 dreams you should never ignore according to science. Number 1 is dreaming that you're drowning. It's like super common. And it's most commonly thought that this sort of mirrors how you feel overwhelmed in your day-to-day life. But the reason you shouldn't ignore this dream is that it's usually a telltale sign you might have sleep apnea. 2, dreaming that you are being chased. This is believed to be unresolved childhood trauma. It's kind of like you're manifesting that trauma into a physical person who's chasing you in your dream. By the way, I am using the Dream app to define all of these. It's literally the most comprehensive and expert-driven app to analyze your dreams. And the 3rd dream you should never ignore, cutting your hair. It's believed that this is your subconscious being aware that you are about to experience a great loss in your life. It's kind of like your mind is warning you to protect yourself from the instability that's to come. And if you want to find out what your dreams mean to you, you can check the link in my bio and try Dream app.
See, are you guys gonna try out that Dream app, man? Like I said, the dreams that we dream. Hey, you said we can't ignore them, bro. I think that happened. I wonder if I had any dreams like that. I don't think so. Not that I could recall. But hey, man, and like I said, everything we see is a message, man. I guess when we dreaming, it's our brains trying to tell us a message to ourselves. So if you really think about it, man, we're trying to warn ourselves. It's like we have a warning detection system. If you break it down like that. Okay.
This is the scary story about the mom. One night, there was a 6-year-old girl who woke up in the middle of the night to her mom standing over her bed, staring down at her with a creepy smile on her face. The girl knew something was wrong, but she couldn't put her finger on it. The girl then said, "Mom." "Yet," she replied. "What are you doing?" the girl asked. "Watching you sleep," she said. "Why?" said the girl. The mom didn't say anything and kept staring at her, smiling. They each didn't say a word to each other for minutes, but still keeping eye contact with each other. Then the mom began to walk backwards, still staring at the girl with that creepy smile, and then went into the girl's closet and shut the door. The girl then got up and ran to her mom's bedroom and saw her mom asleep in her bed.
What's going on with that mom story? Should we see? Cause y'all gonna check that out? Edit. We're experts at this, man, now. Come on, man. You gotta do better than that. If you're gonna make an edit, you gotta make it good. We've been doing this for a minute now, so we getting better each and every single time when these videos plays.
Fun facts that will shock you. Part 1. Happy Birthday to You is the most often sung song in America. Sharks are the only fish that can blink with both eyes. Squirrels can climb trees faster than they can run on the ground.
Oh!
Celebrities who fake their death.
Who's on this list?
Michael Jackson.
That was MJ? The way they was just walking across the sheet, but he put his bags up like really close, so we couldn't really get look at his face. If anything, I thought it'd be like Tupac Shakur, because you know how people be saying he would just went to a different part of the world. But MJ, Michael Jackson, we believe that? That's kind of a hard one to
Have you ever seen a rash that looks like this? It's these little tiny bumps that look like fluid-filled blisters on your hands or feet, and they're intensely itchy. You may have something called dyshidrotic eczema or pamphylix. This rash usually starts in early adulthood, and it often comes in intervals of about every 3 to 4 weeks in response to emotional or physical stress, but the underlying mechanism is poorly understood.
Man.
Some general skincare measures include washing your hands without any jewelry on, using a fragrance-free gentle cleanser to clean your hands, pat dry thoroughly, and then place a heavy cream or ointment on afterwards to help retain some of the moisture, and moisturizing throughout the day. You may also consider wearing a cotton gloves with non-latex gloves over that if you are doing a lot of wet work. If you are struggling with this, it is a good idea to see your physician because they may be able to prescribe you different therapies. Some examples may include high-potency topical steroids, calcineurin inhibitors, JAK inhibitors, and biologics. Let me know if this is something that affects you, and please hit that follow button if you want to learn more about your health.
Well, apparently the adult film star Jessie Jane was found deceased with her boyfriend. Let's find out all about this one, y'all. Shout out to True Crime with Megan. Make sure you give her a follow.
Jessie Jane, an actor of adult films and other movies, has been found deceased. She was 43 years old and her real name was Cindy Taylor. She and her boyfriend Brett Hassenmiller were found deceased in their home in Moore, Oklahoma. According to reports, the Moore Police Department were called to their home on Wednesday to conduct a wellness check. This was after nobody had heard from them for several days, and police were called at about 11 a.m. It was said that Brett's employer reportedly asked for the welfare check after he did not show up for work for several days. She and Brett were found deceased upon police arriving at the home. A medical examiner will officially determine the cause of death, but it is believed they both died from a DRUG overdose. They do not suspect that any foul play was involved. Jessie was a model for David's Bridal for a while before she was in a Hooters commercial. She then eventually signed a contract with Digital Playground. She made her adult film debut in 2003, and then she started to appear in some outside projects. She was in Baywatch Hawaiian Wedding and Starsky and Hutch. In 2005, she also appeared in season 2 of Entourage. Furthermore, she made appearances in Bad Girls Club and Gene Simmons' Family Jewels, which are both reality TV shows. She retired from the adult film industry in 2017 because she claimed the industry started to change too much and they didn't pay as much money. She was remembered as a vivacious person who loved life, and Brett was remembered as a good guy with an amazing soul. They had been dating for quite some time. She was married to Rich Taylor from 2005 to 2012, and she leaves behind one child.
I saw this video going around about maybe you should check it out, man, about how these things about how people in the industry, how they keep like passing away, something like that. Cause that's kind of, I've been hearing a lot of cases about that recently. Really makes you think, man, what's going on in that. And we know, I don't want to go into that rabbit hole. That's a deep one, man. Secrets, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a true one. Thank you guys for supporting the channel also, man. Thank you guys for hitting that like button, man. Subscribe and follow me on my social medias, man, so we can stay connected together. I seen a comment yesterday how been saying how this person was subscribed to the channel, but they were unsubscribed on YouTube, and they clicked that sub button back again. So tell me if you guys are having that problem as well, so I can try to check that out, see what's going on, man. But we're growing, we're posting daily, man. I appreciate the support. Guys, can catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, man. From YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG Reels, Facebook, man. Anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping in with the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, hitting that like button, man. You're helping us push us in the algorithm, man, so we could reach other peoples, man. We could reach other seekers who's seeking this type of content. So I greatly appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best. Let's seek the truth.
This is why you should always change your locks. In 2017, a college girl woke up from a nightmare drenched in sweat and decided to rinse off before going back to sleep. She propped her phone on a shelf, turned on some music, and then hopped in the shower. A few minutes later, she reaches for her phone to change the song, but stops suddenly. Reflected on her phone's screen was a person standing in the middle of her bathroom facing the shower. She somehow kept her composure, turned the water to scalding hot, and then ripped open the curtain and sprayed the intruder in the face. As they howled in pain, she ran past them to her kitchen to get her butcher's knife. In a panic, she can't find her knife, so she just runs out of the apartment and calls the police. The police go in and come out with a crazy-looking woman in handcuffs. One of the officers comes over to the girl and says she used to live here and she had copies of your keys. Then he pauses and looks down and brings up a clear evidence bag that contained her butcher's knife, and he says, "Looks like she wanted her apartment back."
There's something terrible.
What? So she wanted her apartment back, and because she had a copy of the key, she just went in there unannounced. Can somebody even do something like that, Seekers? Is that even legal? I don't think so, right? People are crazy in this world now. That's insane.
Terrifying going on at Chuck E. Cheese right now, and I'm going to explain it to you. So we all know about the game Five Nights at Freddy's, right? It's a game based around a restaurant that's pretty much like a Chuck E. Cheese, where the animatronics come to life and wreak havoc on all the guests there. But what if I told you this was possibly happening in real life right now?
No way.
Just 2 days ago, 5 children have gone missing inside of a Chuck E. Cheese, and the parents reported a weird smell from the inside of the building. And then, just like Five Nights at Freddy's, someone that worked the late night shift actually got killed after hours. Now, these are all pretty weird, but here's the kicker right here. Check out this headline. Night shift workers from Chuck E. Cheese claim strange movement from animatronics post-hours. So, I don't know. What do you think about this? Do you think it's real? Do you think it's fake? And I mean, with 2020 and everything going on, like, I wouldn't be shocked if it was real.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 1. When creating the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland, they couldn't create skeletons that looked realistic enough, so they used real human skeletons. Since then, they've removed all but one. Ducks sometimes become cannibals due to boredom, meaning they kill and eat each other. This behavior begins as early as 4 weeks old. Crocodiles are capable of galloping, similar to a horse. Luckily, alligators cannot. And while we're at it, tarantulas can swim. It's extremely common after you die that there will be extreme gas buildup and you will burp after death. And sometimes dead bodies can even sit up on their own. Also, if a pregnant woman dies, the gas buildup in her body can actually forcefully push a baby out. In other words, a post-mortem baby bazooka. Hearing is the last bodily function to go after one dies. So it's very possible that the last thing you ever hear is the paramedic calling off your CPR.
This is why you shouldn't.
Those are some crazy facts we learn, Seekers, man. That's where you gotta tap in with us, man. I never in a million years would ever guess, man, that tarantulas can swim and he can, he said the alligators, they were galloping? What the hell? This is when they got an upgrade like that, man. I'm telling you, man, you tap in with us, Seekers, you gonna learn some new information, man, daily.
Never stay in sketchy motels. In 2005, a young woman on a solo road trip across the country decided to stop for the night. The first place she sees is the Mountaintop Motel. It looked pretty cheap, but she was tired, so she said good enough. The check-in guy eyed her up and down very uncomfortably and then asked her if she was traveling alone. She ignores the question, pays for her room, and then walks away with the key. When she gets inside her room and sees there are literally cockroaches in her bed, she says nope and decides to sleep in her car in the parking lot. Around 3 a.m., she wakes up to see the check-in guy using his own keys to get into the motel room she was supposed to be in. A few minutes later, he storms out and slams the door and starts walking towards her car. Terrified, she hides under her blanket as the man tries to open her car doors but can't and walks away. She speeds off and calls her friend and asks her to look up the address of Mountaintop Motel so she can give it to police. Her friend's quiet for a second and then just says, "The Mountaintop Motel closed a week ago. If someone offers you this, walk away." In 2016, a man was staying at his friend's cabin in the woods when he decided to go for an evening stroll. A little ways down the trail, he hears someone call out from behind his neighbor's house. He looks up and he sees this skinny guy pop out from behind the building who starts waving frantically at him to come over. Worried this guy could be in trouble, the man takes off running to assist. But when he gets close enough, the neighbor just offers him a fistful of Slim Jims and starts talking about how much he hates his wife. Sensing there was something wrong with this guy, he says no thank you to the Slim Jims and walks away. The next day, the man calls his friend who owned the cabin to ask him what the deal was with his weirdo neighbor. There was silence on the phone, and then his friend just says, "I don't have any neighbors." The police are called, and it turns out his neighbor was really some lunatic who had recently killed his wife and had been hiding out in the abandoned cabin next door. This is why...
That's why, man, my parents always say, don't talk to strangers. Like, he could have been the next... He could have been next, man. He didn't even know. He just offered him some Slim Jim talking about how he didn't like his wife. Like, the signs were there, man. You gotta pay attention to what people say nowadays, man, because every time somebody says something, bro, and if it sounds weird, especially talking about how he hated his wife and just offered him Slim Jims, that's bizarre enough already. And you in the woods at that. He's a brave soul. I don't know how he did it. If I was in the woods, you see somebody you don't know, deuces, I'm out. You ain't getting me.
You always say yes to tandoori chicken. In 2012, a high school tutor and her student stayed up so late one night studying that by the time they were done, the buses had stopped running. Without another way home, the student asked if he could stay the night at her place. Reluctantly, she agreed. When they got back to the apartment, she fell asleep on her bed and he fell asleep on a blanket next to her bed on the ground. A few hours later, she wakes up to the boy standing awkwardly in the middle of the room with a very strange look on his face. What? She asks him, "What's wrong?" He looks at her and says, "I'm really hungry. Let's go get some tandoori chicken." Confused, she says, "It's 2 a.m. Just get a snack in the cupboard." And he grabs her by the arm and he says, "No, we are getting tandoori chicken right now." And he yanks her from the bed. Feeling totally caught off guard by this whole situation, she goes into the hall with the boy, and as soon as the door shuts behind them, she can tell that he is terrified. He looks at her and just says, "I'm not actually hungry. When I woke up, there was someone under your bed." This is why you should always trust your gut. In the early 1970s, a college student decided to hitchhike his way home after class. A car pulls up, a man offers him a ride, and he climbs in. As soon as the car started moving, the student felt totally uneasy, like something was wrong but he couldn't quite place it. Without saying anything, he waited till the next time they slowed down and he flung the door open and ran away. 2 years later, he's flicking through TV channels when he comes across this special interview with a death row inmate. And it's just the audio recording, so he hears the interviewer ask the inmate, "Why did you remove all the door handles inside of your car?" The man just goes, "Well, the first time I tried to kill someone, I picked up a college hitchhiker who got smart at some point and jumped out of my car. So, lesson learned, remove all the door handles." When they showed his
he knew.
Picture, the student knew immediately that he was supposed to be the first victim of John Wayne Gacy, aka the killer clown, who had killed over 30 men and boys in his clown room and stuffed them into his basement. This is why you should always trust...
Sorry for pausing 2 times there, man, but I just had to explain this one, bro. That's why people say, man, when you have to trust your gut sometimes, because, bro, your gut, it'll never steer you wrong, man. He had a feeling that something was off, man. As soon as he stopped, he jumped out the damn car. And look what happened. Flicking through the channels. And what came to pass? He was right on the money, man. You gotta trust your gut sometimes, bro. You just have to. Even if everybody's saying, "Oh no, bro." If there's a gut feeling, man, and you don't trust it, and just get away from that situation. That's actually one of the most insane stories you heard, Seekers.
Trust your gut.
Tap in with
us.
In
the 1970s, a young couple decided to go for a late-night hike in the woods. A couple minutes into their walk, and the man remembers thinking, something's not right. He tells his girlfriend, but they just decide to ignore it and keep going, until he steps on something that felt really soft, like it was alive. Before he has a chance to see what he stepped on, they hear all this rustling in the bushes next to them and they bolt. Years later, that couple turns on the TV and a death row inmate who's about to be executed is being interviewed.
Again.
And they ask him, was there ever a time that you were almost caught red-handed? He responded, yes, one time. I was in the woods and a couple walked through and the man actually stepped on the body of a girl I had just killed. I was hiding in the bushes just a few feet away. They didn't see me. That couple had run into one of the worst serial killers of all time, Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy.
So supposedly this is what the fallen angel Lucifer looks like. And this is what the moon looked like on March 31st, 2020. I don't know about any of you guys, but this is scary, especially with everything going on in the world right now. Pretty cool!
Let this be a reminder that there really are monsters out there. In 2007, a woman living right near a prison in California got home late one night and went right to bed. Around midnight, she woke up to footsteps on her first floor, assumed it was her roommate, so she goes downstairs to say hi. She yells out to her roommate, who doesn't say anything, and then in walks this giant man who she doesn't recognize. She runs upstairs, jumps in her closet into the crawl space and hides. As she's helplessly tucked away in this little crawl space, trying not to make any sound, all she hears is this giant man sprinting around her house, running into walls, flipping furniture, and screaming in frustration because he can't find her. Finally, after several hours, she slowly opens the crawl space back up, crawls out, and gets her phone off the nightstand and calls police. As she's telling the police her story, she describes the person who had broken in, and they stop her and say, "Ma'am, go back in the crawl space and stay there. We'll be there as soon as we can." It turned out a 6'11" convicted murderer had escaped the prison and was still on the loose.
Damn. She was living next to prison. I could never do that. I don't see how people can do that. I understand people need houses and stuff, but living next to a prison, that's just like asking for trouble. Because like I said, they have like direct access to the house, and as soon as they escape, they just gonna try to go into one of the people's houses. Word of advice, man, don't live next to a prison. I'm pretty sure I don't have to say that, but you never know. Is that an edit? Yeah, that's an edit. Call it like I see it.
If you scare easily, I wouldn't watch this video. In 2013, a mine explorer found this entrance to an abandoned mine and decided to go have a look around. He decides to film his experience and upload it to his YouTube channel, where he had uploaded hundreds of other videos of him exploring mines, but he never once references the paranormal or ghosts or anything like that until this video. As soon as he steps foot inside, he tells the camera that he has a really uneasy feeling about being there and wonders if he should even keep going, but he does. Everything seems pretty normal until he gets to a section in the mine where there's a bunch of chains hanging down from the ceiling. He hears something in the back of the tunnel, so he pulls his flashlight out and he shines it towards the back, and he sees a chain swinging, and it shouldn't be, because there's no draft and he's all alone, and you can tell he's scared by the way he starts talking. Although he's totally freaked out, he wants to know what's causing the chain to swing, so he goes farther and farther into the mine until he hears something. People whispering in every direction. He gets totally spooked and runs out. If you don't want to sleep tonight, watch the whole video. This is why you should never open your door for strangers. In 2013, a woman let her dog out to use the bathroom one more time before bed. After only a few minutes, she starts hearing scratching on her door, which is typically the sound her dog makes when he's ready to come in, but it just seemed way too soon for him to be done being outside. So she decides to look through the peephole to make sure it really is her dog, but what she sees is terrifying. A deranged-looking man is right outside her door, staring intently at her door handle, waiting for it to turn open. As she's looking in horror, unable to do anything, he starts scratching at the door as hard as he can, never leaving his gaze from the door handle. She manages to stifle a scream, she backs away and realizes her dog is still outside. So she goes to the side window, but there's no sign of her dog, and so she goes back to the door to see if maybe the man's moved. He hasn't moved, his mouth is open, and he's staring directly at the peephole. Then he turns around and walks away. With the man gone, she discovers her dog unharmed, his leash had just been cut. But that means he had a knife.
Terrifying facts about the ocean. Let's get into it. So we've explored
Damn, we didn't even get the terrifying acts of the ocean, man. We've seen a couple of them, man, but I was really excited to see what he had to say, man. These videos were like, I had to find these part 2s for y'all, man. I know y'all I see in the comments, y'all be irked like me too, man, when they don't finish off the story. I gotta do a deep dive and find these part 2s for y'all, man, but we're gonna find them. That's crazy, man. There's some crazy facts today, man. There's some crazy stories. You guys, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker. Once again, thank you guys for supporting the channel, for subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, man, hitting that like button, man. Like I said, when you guys do those simple steps, man, that pushes us in the algorithm, man. We can connect with other people, man. We're growing. I see the progress we're making with each and every video, so I'm thankful for you guys. Like I said, we're going to continue to grind. We're going to continue to get better with each and every video. I'm doing daily uploads for you guys. You guys can catch you in the next one. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.